coming up, I'll introduce myself. As Frankie Jo said, my name is Regina Uribe. I'm the Executive Director of DAS Foundation. DAS Foundation was founded in 2015 with the goal of ensuring that no matter where you come from or what language you speak, everyone deserves equal opportunity to succeed. And so how we do that is by creating equitable access to education, workshops, and social capital in Spanish.
Can you
So our focus
clip
is in
this
helping
like
the
towards
Latino
the end
community,
over
the
here?
Spanish, the ones that prefer to learn in Spanish, to have access to amazing workshops and courses that are focused on helping businesses grow. So that's Foundation. I spent 10 years in higher education, and then joined the foundation last year. So I'm continuing my passion for education through that foundation. So thank you very much, and I will then now stop talking and introduce our wonderful panel. So today we have with us Bridget Orr. She is the Wealth Management Advisor with Westpac Wealth Partners. That's a mouthful. How do you say that every time?
It's great.
Bridget is a Texas native who currently lives in Arizona. She played volleyball at the University of Alabama and professionally in Spain and Chile. Very cool. She graduated cum laude with her BA in marketing and previously held business development and marketing leadership roles in dynamic mix of industries. And most recently at UBS. She has a passion for connecting with people to develop and better teams and ultimately every client experience. She strives to learn about each of her clients while sharing financial knowledge that can allow them to achieve their personal and financial goals. She loves to travel, stay active, spends time with her husband, Brett, and two boys, Kason and Colby. So thank you for being here. Up next we have Ricardo Parra. He is the CEO of Smart Asset Protection. Ricardo is the founder of Smart Asset Protection and has more than 2 decades of experience in insurance and financial industries. Throughout the years, Ricardo noticed consumers change the way they do business. This inspired him to start his own future-ready agency. In his capacity as a broker, Ricardo strategically partners with the most innovative companies that provide the tools and the technology to counsel and service clients effectively. He has extensive expertise, including risk analysis, advanced insurance strategies, and thoughtful consulting. He's like the best teacher for insurance, so highly I recommend, and he also serves on the board of DAS Foundation. So welcome.
Thank you for the warm introduction.
We also have Paul Haynes, okay. SVP of Wealth Market Manager from the National Bank of Arizona. Paul has over 20 years of experience in the financial services industry and recently came to the National Bank of Arizona after working with Atra Wealth Solutions as Executive Director of Financial Institutions. His previous roles include Atlantic Union Wealth Management and Bank of Kansas BOK Financial Advisors, where he served as Senior Vice President and Managing Director of his bank's Wealth Management Division. Paul received his Bachelor's of Science degree in Accounting and a Master's in Business Administration degree in Accounting and Information Systems, both from the University of Utah. He resides in Mesa, is married to Tammy with 3 children, Camden, Parker, and Beckham. His family loves traveling, new restaurants, and rooting for the Arizona Diamondbacks and Utah Utes. So welcome. And last but not least, we have Gonzalo de Leon, a VP of Wealth Management from Trilogy Financial. He was born into a family of teachers and is a firm believer that education is the greatest gift you can give to someone to improve the quality of life. It is a belief that drives him to share his financial information in schools, churches, and other nonprofit organizations. Additionally, Gonzalo is trilingual and is a former international business consultant. His work with businesses abroad has allowed him to foster relationships with people from different backgrounds and has made him very comfortable with the uncomfortable. When he is not helping clients with financial goals, he is volunteering at various nonprofits such as DAS Foundation and the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. He plays on his rugby team, the old boys and loves outdoor activities like hunting, fishing, and curing meats. He has an MBA from Thunderbird School of Global Management and his professional plant consultant designation, and holds the Series 6, Series 63 registrations with LPL Financial and Series 65 registration with Trilogy Capital, as well as life and health insurance license. So thank you. Isn't it fun to have your bio read in front of you? But that's how we will get to know you. So we'll start out with a series of questions and have this dynamic panel. And we'll start off with Bridget. What are the key principles or strategies for creating wealth in a business? Can you share some effective investment strategies for business growth?
Absolutely. First, just thank you for being in this room. If you don't know why you're in this room, I also appreciate that. If you feel like you're in the wrong room and you want to exit, that's okay too. But no, I wanted to say thank you. I mean, it means a lot that she's reading our bios, but it's fun to be in this environment and with you guys here today. So with the first question, and just kind of as you guys, if you're business owners, if you're not a business owner, you probably know a business owner. So if you've sat in this space and are just looking for some key takeaways today, hopefully you get that from this awesome panel that we're a part of. But I think the three kind of key principles that come to mind for me is just strategic planning, effective management, and smart financial decisions. I think when we simplify that, it sounds pretty easy, but I know as you guys are business owners, you're pretty focused on your business. The industry as a whole doesn't necessarily do a great job of helping you guys in this space as you're making those financial decisions throughout the growth of your business. So some strategies that can come into play, first is just financial organization. I know there are some business owners that are very organized, and this doesn't just apply to understanding where your assets are. It's more about understanding the synergy in which they all kind of work together. So we try to help our clients mostly just financially organize and making sure that their decisions are coming together. Second piece would be protection, making sure that what you've built so far is never going to fall off your balance sheet. So obviously what that implies is most of the insurance that you guys know about: auto, home, umbrella, disability, life, but really understanding past that point. That's also legal protection, legal documents, estate planning, business planning. I'm sure we've already talked about some of those today. But really making sure that those are intentional, and also not just forgetting to go back to those. A lot of times we're growing in businesses and aren't, reviewing what we have and how we set up, and the growth can change sometimes the strategies and entities that we pick from the beginning. And then thirdly, I would just say taxes. We all just went through tax season, so I'm sure you filed that extension that we all love to give you more time. But we all like to pay less taxes, right? So really, I think being efficient with building a proactive and strategic tax planning, that's not always easy to do with your CPA. CPAs are great, and if you're any in the room, like, God bless you, you have a difficult job and a very hard deadline. But I think for us, it's just making sure that us as advisors are working with those business owners to make sure that we can do some of those things. And sometimes it is entity structure, things like that. But how can we save? How can we give you guys opportunities to look at different decisions and options that you guys might have to save a little bit more on that balance sheet? So
thank you. Would anyone else like to add any other points? Yeah, Paul.
First of all, Bridget, you're spot on, and I endorse everything you said, or I agree. I think in today's world, we have to really look at value creation, and there's 3 examples out there that have really changed the game no matter what industry you're in. Of course, Amazon. I'd also say ChatGPT, AI, and then also Netflix. And what I mean by Amazon is Amazon's taught us to be very responsive, make things super easy. Doesn't matter who you are, everybody's used to that now. Netflix has taught us you better get to the point real quick, because you don't see them coming out with content that's 2 hours anymore. It's 45 minutes or less, right? There's a reason for that, because our engagement drops way off of a cliff. So no matter what business you're in, you have to do that. And then AI, I'll just say, unless you're in software development or higher education, I am so sorry, ASU, you're okay for now. Those are the two industries that are looking to be disrupted first. But people are going to come to you in your business knowing and being able to plug in and have a baseline knowledge. They're going to want to come to you and say, tell me something I don't know because I've already done my research. And so I think those three things are extremely important.
Thank you. Great points. Ricardo, how important is diversification in building and safeguarding wealth? And how do you recommend you balance risk and reward when making financial decisions?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having us today, Bridget. That was wonderful. And I just really honored to be here today. I know I'm coming from a very insurance perspective, and I'll kind of try to stick to that. So to answer that question, first of all, when it comes to an insurance perspective, diversification doesn't really directly build wealth, but it's very crucial to safeguarding it. And here's why, really. I mean, just imagine if a factory, your factory burns down to the ground, right? Without the proper coverages, that might be the end of your business. And so the importance of having a diversified insurance portfolio is key. You want to make sure that today, in today's environment, we're seeing, cyber attacks. We're seeing a lot of employee injuries through workers' compensation. So we have to make sure that we are looking at those areas and making sure we have a diversified plan. It also it's not necessarily, I bring up fire, but fire is really not the only, the only risk out there. So make sure that, we pay attention to other risks like in that area. On the second part, balancing risks and reward, I think you mentioned. So balancing risk and rewards, when it comes to insurance, it's mostly you're looking at purchasing the right type of coverage at the right price. I mean, and that's kind of the bottom line, making sure that you are someone is assessing your risk. What type of risks do you have out there? Is sensitive data important to you? Employee injuries, cyber attacks. So again, having the right types of coverages can really save your business just from one single event. So those are the things I really want to focus on, and I'm just trying to kind of think of the areas that are impacting today. On the reward side, unfortunately, I'm probably the least liked person in this room because this is the hardest market that the industry has ever seen. We're seeing a 30% rate increase across the board, and has nothing to do with you. There's a ton of stuff that's happening out there. Lawsuits. There's, if you look around the valley, you're going to see billboards, and most of them are going to be personal injury attorneys, unfortunately. So that has driven up costs. We have inflation. It's very difficult right now. The majority of our phone calls are like, "Why did my insurance go up so much?" And it's difficult. I mean, I've been in the industry for a long time, and this is the worst I've ever seen. So, yeah, it's very very tough on that end. But looking at rewards, like on the reward side, I mean, how do I maximize my discounts when it comes to insurance? And on that end, I think you really have to start looking, paying attention at deductibles. Deductibles is one thing. Before, the norm used to be $500 or $1,000 on your personal insurance, even commercial. But I recently just had a client that he's like, I'm not going to pay this much money. Help me, without impacting coverages. What can I do? I'm like, well, what is your risk tolerance? And that's when we were able to maneuver with deductibles. I mean, he went up to $20,000 deductible in this case. But again, I'm also not saying, hey, everybody go out there and change your deductibles, but you have to think about this. You have to say, how is it going to impact my daily life if I increase my deductibles. There's also on the a lot of business owners don't even know that by having a safety plan, a subcontractor agreement, you might be able to save a lot of money during that. And unfortunately, in this industry as a whole, we don't do a good job in the consultative side of having a business owner just say, hey, look, we're going to be able to create a safety plan, a subcontractor agreement. That way, we talked a little bit about the possibility of losing certain jobs because you don't have the right documents. So by having this subcontractor agreement, you're lessening risk, you're making sure that you have the ability to obtain larger jobs. And so again, I think what I want to say is that insurance is really, you shouldn't look at it really as an expense, but more of an investment to protect your future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gonzalo, what are some common pitfalls to avoid when trying to build wealth through business?
I will answer that question, but first I just want to say something.
Yeah, please.
That second question. I want to take a different lane on that. Normally, when we're balancing risk and reward, that's and I'm sure my colleague will agree with me, normally the expectations and reality is different. And when somebody comes to me saying, oh my God, I lost all my money in my 401k, I need to think and I ask more questions, and normally they're taking way more risks than they think they were taking. So normally our job to help them make better financial decisions is to kind of, I will say, align risk and reward. This is what risk means in your case, right? And you're not 25 anymore. Maybe you need to dial it in, or maybe, and all those things, when somebody comes to me or to us, I'm sure saying, oh, my other advisor sucks, it's not really the advisor, it's just really the expectation, and the reality was wrong. It was not fair. So I think that's the main thing that I would say about risk and reward. And the other side of it is risk and reward communicating in Spanish. I deal with a lot of two-generation kind of business owners, mom and dad that came here and they mainly speak Spanish, and then the 30s, 40s kids, and believe it or not, risk won't translate the same way. So you just shouldn't say risk, and it's weird. I know it's a simple word, but it's not really. So when you're explaining risk to the first generation, it's a different way how you explain it to the current generation. You need to balance that thing. So anyway, I just wanted to touch that because it's our job is to help people make better financial decisions. And if we have the right expectations, the same reality, then everybody's happy, right? If there's a discrepancy, then we have issues. Anyway, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
Don't be sorry. This is what we're here for.
So the other question is, can you say that other question?
Of course. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when trying to build wealth?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Pretty much everything that you said, plus business owners, we're talking about business owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So most of the times we are orchestra men or orchestra women, right? Meaning I will do it all. And it takes too long to look for help, to build a team, right? I do my own taxes. Okay, and then until you have the IRS knocking on your door, right? That's not what you want. Or I would do my own finances until you put all your money in Bitcoin or whatever you're doing. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm just saying that find a team, and then because we want to cut costs in places that you should not be. So your job is to do a business owner and make decisions on laying concrete or having a restaurant, whatever you do. Just keep focusing on that and start building a team around you before it's too late. When you say, I don't need it yet, I think you do need it 2 years ago. And the second part is there's not really an exit strategy, right? We build a business, whatever that is. I want to make money. Sure, okay, great. But then what? Are you going to build it and sell it? Are you going to give it to your kids? What are you going to do, right? And like, no, it's too early to think about it. Well, it's like, if I want to start walking to LA, I guess, I just need to know some sort of direction at least, right? Or else I will end up in maybe Chile, right? So it's an exit strategy, and it doesn't mean that you're going to sell your business, but sometimes I get a lot of business owners that they say, my kids are going to take care of my business. Okay, have you talked to them? They're like, no. And then you talk to the kids like, hell no, that's a horrible, I don't want to do that. Like, okay, now let's just have a communication, right? Or my business is worth a lot of money, and then maybe that's true. Your CPA said that that's the value of your business, but you need a buyer. So it doesn't matter that the value is blank. If there's nobody buying it, well, guess what? The worth is nothing. So what was that?
It's perceived value.
For you, yes, exactly. So a lot of the things that we do in diversifying wealth is because your business is producing the cash, right? It's building things. But then we normally do retirement planning, other kind of investments that are not really related to your business. That way you have an option, an exit strategy. If you sell the business, great. If you don't, great. If your kids will take care of them, you think they're going to pay the full price of the value of your business? No. Okay, well, at least I have something on the side, right? So I guess those are going to be my two different takeaways from that question on major pitfalls for a business owner.
Perfect. Anyone else want to chime in?
I wanted to touch on a couple of things Gonzalo said. First of all, the language barrier. We deal with that a lot, not having our clients not understand what they have on the insurance side, have no idea what their coverage is for. So first of all, the consultative side is extremely important, but not just with, bilinguals or Spanish speakers, but just in general, you would be amazed how many business owners have no idea on what they currently have. I was chatting with Christina earlier, and she was like pretty passionate about her experience on with a previous broker that she had no idea, and what was under the agent didn't take the time to explain, to be consultative, and to really focus on what she needed. So that's really important to understand, because I tell all my clients, read your contract. If you don't have time to read the contract, because sometimes it can be a lot. Read the exclusions part. There's an exclusions part. Just know what you're not protected for. That's very important. So on that end, I think it's don't. Oh, and one more thing is, don't just go to the first broker. I mean, talk to a couple of different agents, because until you find the right one, and that really does a good job explaining it.
Time out. Don't read your contract. Ask somebody else to read it for you. I mean, we're talking about a team. Are you going to read your contract? No, that's not true. You hire somebody that you trust, that you read the contract and tell me if this is the right thing for me or not. We're talking about building a team, so just hire Ricardo.
Yeah.
Don't read your contract.
I'm the weird type that reads contracts.
As much as that is true, I'd like to agree with you on that. But as a business owner, if you don't know what's going on in your contract, you're going to be screwed out of it, not him.
Yep.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You need to hire somebody you trust that is your best interest. Your fiduciary, fiduciary responsibility.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's the key thing about building a team, and I love that about everybody up here, is it's a team effort, and now we just got to get the rest of the people to understand that it's important to have a team to run a business, because running it by yourself runs you into the ground. And if you have teams out here like this that are available, it's not a matter of having the team, it's a matter of getting the people to get involved with the team.
Love it.
The business owners out here, and that's what I'm hoping we can all connect with.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. How do you, Paul, how do you approach financial planning and budgeting to support long-term wealth creation?
Okay. So as to not really just sound redundant to all the great advice that we received, I'll just share an example just last week.
Yeah.
Okay. First and foremost, let me just set the table. The AARP just came out with a study that showed that people over the age of 50 care about 3 things primarily, and then everything else is not as important. Number 1, not surprisingly, am I on track to retire comfortably without fear of running out of money? In other words, can I live the lifestyle without running out of money? Number 2, how about my health? Like, I'm concerned about my health, who's going to take care of me? People are saying, by and large, I don't want to be a burden on anybody, and I don't care how much it costs to avoid that. And then 3, I'm worried about family issues, unexpected family expenses. Now, way, way, way down the list is actually investment management, stock market, which is kind of surprising because you mentioned 20 years, which everybody's like, yeah, dude's got gray hair, right? The business has just transformed so much in terms of financial planning. So let me just tell you a quick story about a client who was referred to us after he sold his business for $10 million. And he came to us after he had sold his business and the money, and he said, I feel like I just won the lottery. Now, he's 51 years old. He has 4 children, married. He brought in his spouse and said, I want to get her more involved in the finances. So we started talking about, number 1 thing, retirement income planning. Now, long story short, 51 years old. The FPA just came out with some recent guidance that said, Financial Planning Association, came out with some guidance that said, if you want a conservative financial plan, you probably need to plan till age 100 because people are living that long. So at 51 years old, it's like, we have to make this guy's money last 49 to 50 years. That correlates, according to a Monte Carlo analysis and the computer simulations and everything, just to simplify things, to about a 3% withdrawal rate on his money. So if he just took all of that money, withdrew it at 3%, that's an income each year of $300,000. This is somebody who was bringing in $2 million a year, sold for 5 times a multiple. Isn't it funny that at $300,000, he's like, wait, that doesn't feel like winning the lottery. Let's take it a step further. I'm going to skip over number 2, go to number 3. Tell me about the people that are important to you. I've got a mom. She's getting older. One of the reasons why I sold my business was to spend more time with her and to take care of her. She needs long-term care. Do you want her in a facility or do you want her in her home? Of course, home. Do you want a licensed professional to administer care or do you want a family member to do it? Again, nobody wants to be a burden. Let's go with a licensed professional. Now, how are we going to pay for it? I will share that the traditional cost for long-term care, as I just described, used to be $600,000 to $700,000 a year. Yay, modern medicine. Now people are living twice as long, so you're really looking at a cost of $1 to $1.2 million. Take that right off at the top. Who else do you support? He's got 4 children, wants to send them to college. The inflation rate on college is 6 to 7%. That means the costs double every 10 to 12 years. He had no idea. In fact, in his own words, he goes, well, I guess I'm not sending them to Stanford, which, he wanted to provide them a life, because again, that's more money off at the top. And then he starts to look at his own health care, and he's like, wait a second, I'm starting to do the math. Like, if it's costing $1 million now for my mom, potentially, and there's fewer healthcare workers out there and just the cost of inflation, what's it going to be when we need long-term care? And he said to me, and this is the most poignant point and where I'm getting at, he goes, you know what, I wish I didn't sell my business. I didn't know. So my point is life is complex. And we didn't even get into the fact that the highest rate of divorce in this country right now is 50 and older. Right? And we probably need to address that with them. Wow. Life is complex. It requires planning. There's so many different ways your money can go. So when it comes to your business, it's been said many times, I think if you take one thing away from this, meet with somebody, talk to them, be real frank. Notice, we didn't talk about investments. Like, that's a tool down the road, but these are the things that are more important to people, so I just want to bring in awareness to everybody.
Come on, Paul, a high note. A high note.
I know.
Okay.
And now we're all depressed.
All right, let me.
Thank you, Paul.
I know I've taken my time. Can I end on a high note? Can I end on a high note? Yes. All right, so my wife is a researcher for the University of Utah, AAU school. I told her all this, and she's just like, man, you're bumming me out, because she's, So she did some research. There is studies out there that shows, remember I said people are living longer? That if you have an optimistic view of retirement, which is defined by saving money, having a purpose, having a good social structure, and investing time in your health, you will live on average an extra 8 active years in retirement. Guys, this isn't like we hit 65 and we're stuck in a rocking chair till 100. No, look at people. 70 is the new 50. 50 is the new 30. Like, people are living active. Now, it may mean we all need to live longer, but hey, that's all about having purpose, right? I don't know about you, but if you really love your business, you should embrace the fact that we can do this. So I hope that...
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love how he changed it to a positive. That's awesome.
Well,
I feel
without-
good now.
I know, without planning, the next question goes to Paul, which is asking, can you share examples of successful wealth building initiatives or projects within your business or your field?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say having the ability to work with somebody that you know and trust. And in our profession, you know, and I think this will sound very relatable to many of you, the majority of financial advisors and financial planners out there are 65 and older. Like, it's like 70%. Thankfully, on this panel, you can see we're doing something to change that. I'm not 65. Don't let the gray hair fool you again. But I think in any industry, it is so important to be able to invest in diversity and to offer the ability for many people to come up and work in your business. Because what that does is, number two, something really important, creates more strategic partnerships. You have to constantly be evolving. I think there was a way of doing business before the pandemic, during the pandemic, after the pandemic, and now after the pandemic. And that's a lot of change in a short period of time to be able to do that. That also involves investing in technology, and I mentioned AI. Here's the funny thing, the fun thing about AI that I would recommend, and this is coming from the Fidelity Investments artificial intelligence head, who I had a chance to spend time with. So they're doing a lot of research on this. He said, go out and invest in the most expensive subscription you can and play around with it as it relates to your business, because this is where things are headed. And you want to stay on the curve of where it's going to be and how to utilize these technology and resources, and have your children do it, because this is the world they're going to grow up in. So I know in our business, for example, like I meet with a client and we do voice dictation. We need the notes. I plug it into AI and I say, please summarize the notes, remove any grammar and spelling errors, and summarize in 3 bullet points what next steps are. And it's done. And I'm like, wow, what used to take me a long time is now going very, very rapidly. When I prepare for an appointment, I plug in everything into the appointment, into AI, and I want to see what it generates, because you know what? Every single one of you could feel like a financial expert, financial planning expert going into the appointment. So it goes back to what I said earlier. Tell me something I don't know. And each and every person on here shared a lot of great insight and tidbits that isn't captured by AI yet. So think about that in terms of your business. There, you know, it's a fun world that we're living in, ever changing, but I think those 3 things really can lead to positive investment.
Did you magically know the next question? This is great. I love it. Gonzalo, beyond AI, how, or even other ways to leverage AI, how do you leverage technology and digital tools to optimize financial performance and wealth creation?
I think, back in the day when the robo-advisor thing started, it was more like who's going to win sort of thing. And there was like a camp of robo-advisor and a camp of human being, advisor. And we see it more like a team approach, to your point. There's stuff that computers do faster, better than I do in a split of a second. Why am I going to do that? Why am I going to read a contract? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Nobody read a contract.
No, I'm just kidding. My point is to want to call analysis and all that. Before it was just like really do the calculate. I mean, we don't need to do that anymore. So I think we should embrace technology, whatever name you want to give it in any level, to do things that are repetitive, things that need exactly precision, and leave your human emotions to humans, right? So going back to the business, right? I can show, to your point, you can show that cash flow retirement, but he's not going to say, well, mom, then you're just going to live on the street. That person is not going to say that, right? So we need to make it happen. And you have empathy, because and you can help make better financial decisions, adding that emotion, right? So yes, just embrace technology. You should look for, I guess, consultants and advisors that will embrace technology, use technology a lot. It's impossible that I'm here, and how are my clients being managed right now, right? I mean, well, technology helps me to do that, right? And if somebody's a naysayer, like, no, that's, I'm against it, or I'm not going to do that, or that's for the younger folk, or whatever, just be careful, because there's a lot of inefficiencies in there, and that's what we right now is fast, precise. But then I want to know who you are for real, right? Not just a black and white number. We need to have that relationship. In our business, it's not about rate of returns. It's about relationship. So I can beat the market if you want, and then the next door guy will beat it 3 times more, whatever. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, is the relationship that you have with your team, the relationship that you have with, let's say, your business owner, right? Your team members, your employees, your colleagues, the team outside, right? So contractors that you manage. In order to have time and energy to build relationships, you need to use technology to do all those things that take your time, things that are not human, I guess, and take it out of your plate. That way you can spend more time with your family, with your team, team building things. So anyway, I think we just need to embrace it. We do embrace it as a group of advisors. And it's just one more, I guess, we just need to be okay with it.
Anyone else want to add?
I was going to bring, sorry for this, but I'm going to bring the dark side of technology. You know, here, as business owners, how many of you here are prepared for a cyber attack? Good, that's a lot. 2 out of every, 3 out of 30, right, or approximately. That's about the right number. I'll tell you something, I thought I was well prepared. And of course, it had to happen when I was, my first vacation. I don't take a lot of time off, but it was the first vacation late last year. And my website was compromised. And you think, oh, it's not a big deal, right? I mean, it's just nothing. But it ruined my vacation. It cost me money. And, I had to kind of stop business for almost a week. And that was nothing in comparison to what happens. How many have you seen letters from your mortgage company saying, hey, your information has been compromised. We're going to give you a free year of coverage for cybersecurity. I mean, a lot of that happens quite more often than you can imagine. But the average cost of a cyber attack for a small business owner is anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000. So just imagine that side of it. For mid-sized to larger business, minimum starts at $100,000. Legal counsel, I mean, it's horrible. We're seeing it more and more. So all I'm saying is, just keep. It's great. I love ChatGPT. I love the availability of information like that. But there is that side that you kind of, as business owners, you really have to take a peek at.
Yeah, that's a great point. In that, for every good thing that technology does, that there's also a dark side to it, and we have to be aware of it as well, so that we can properly prepare, properly use it. AI is still developing, right? There's things like hallucinations, and so there will be. We still have to have the human component to interpret it. So it's a tool. It shouldn't be the thing that you're 100% dependent on. All right, Bridget, how important is networking and building strategic partnerships in accelerating wealth creation?
Yeah, so I love that we didn't discuss our answers, and I already see the themes that are popping out, and I hope you guys do too. And this question kind of leads me to 2 areas that were mentioned, and I'll just kind of go a little bit deeper on is strategic partners. You've already heard that been mentioned just because it applies to so many different areas. But for you guys as business owners, and we've seen this, right? I do feel like you guys are under-supported, underserved market in the investment industry as a whole. And you can black and white it to understand like a true investment advisor. We haven't even discussed the market or the stocks, right? That's the traditional investment market that we think of. And most of those true traditional advisors are not focused on business owners because what do you not have? You don't have millions of dollars to invest in the market today. So to that point, I'm just saying we've felt a void, and we do feel a void with business owners. You're not getting sound financial advice because you don't think you have the millions of dollars to take to an investment advisor. And I hope that the theme that you guys see today is that you do need strategic partners before you have the millions to invest in the market, and it's more than just that. So you guys have advisors whether you realize it or not. Whether it happened by accident, you do, right? You buy a home, even on the personal side, you guys can understand this. You buy a home, what do you have? A realtor, you have a mortgage broker, you have a title company, and oh, by the way, before you sign the dotted line, you have to have home insurance, right? Those are all different advisors in one transaction. The same thing applies and multiplies as a business owner. So just really making sure that those strategic advisors are also working together and at least having a better understanding of how those decisions impact each other. That's probably the biggest thing that we see is, you've kind of made all these decisions along the way as your business has grown, or they, were made in silos, like we like to call, and you're not really understanding when it hits the financial balance sheet in one page. Did one of these decisions affect another one, and is it counterproductive to that one and you didn't realize it? And just kind of getting the education and clarity around the decisions that you've already made and kind of going forward and looking ahead to how to adjust that if it's possible to, look ahead 5, 10, 30 years from now. I think the second piece that was also mentioned is just efficient management. I mentioned that as a principle earlier, but what I mean by that is kind of that rate, risk, return. Most people, especially if you're thinking about the investment market, they don't really understand the risk. I mean, everyone's like, oh, I want 20% in the market. If it's 20% or bust, like I'm out. Especially as a business owner, because you probably just sold your business if you have that money to invest. But we all just I don't think we have a lot of education around what that looks like. I mean, we understand when we put $100 in Vegas on black, we understand the risk, right? That risk is the $100 is off the table or I actually won the bet, right? And we have more clarity around the odds in betting than we do on our financial balance sheet. And I'm exaggerating the point to just say, if I said a client got 15% in the market today, would you guys say that's good? I would say most people are like, yeah, that's pretty good. But if I said another client took the same exact risk and earned 20% in the market, would you think 15% is good? You're like, what? The same risk and they got 5% more than me? Now you're not thinking 15% is good. I'm putting those side by side because you have to understand that hopefully the risk that you're putting out there is appropriate and you're being compensated appropriately for the risk that you're taking. So I think just kind of those two principles and understanding, you can only have that with the strategic partners and making sure that those decisions are coming together. So it's not to say we expect all of you guys to be like, I got this figured out. Like you guys are focused on your business and you just need to find trusted advisors. They're out there, they're here, and there's people that are passionate about educating in this space. So if you haven't found that person, if you feel like you have advisors that are conflicting and maybe not working together, then make those adjustments and try to keep working towards that strategy.
Yeah, Bridget, that's great. One thing that I want to say is, as business owners, I get a lot of people that will tell me, I want to invest in myself and I want to invest in my business. When I hear that, I just like to kind of dissect that sentence or that idea, and I will tell them, well, you're not really investing in yourself. You're just self-employed. You're just adding self-employment. So, for example, should I buy a truck? Let's say landscaping company. Should I buy a truck? I'm investing in my business. Well, yes, but no, really, because that truck won't drive itself yet, right? And take the crew to the next client. So you need to actually work to make that tool pay you, right? So when you start separating investments, which is pretty much what we do, versus the business, the decision making is easy. Should I buy X tool to lower my taxes? Well, are you going to use the tool? Well, no. Well, maybe then it's not really a good investment because it's not going to be an investment. It's just a break, somewhere, right? So thinking about your investment in yourself and then saying, okay, is this self-employment? Yes, then that's not an investment. That's just self-employment, right? Investment is having your money somewhere else and the Walmarts of the world and the Tesla, whatever, they work for you, that's what they do, and they do well, and then you get compensated. That's an investment. Buying a truck for your landscaping company, that's not really an investment. That's just expanding your business, okay? And then you need to make more calls to have more clients to make the use of that truck. That's work. And when we're comparing, oh, if I have another crew, I get paid, my investment will be 35%. That is right. That's true. But that's because you're compensating yourself. You're paying, that's salary. That's not rate of return. So I sometimes I say, I will say, clients will tell me I will flip, not a house. Well, sometimes flip a house. I make 35%. Say, yeah, you're right. Who's the contractor? I'm the contractor. Well, that's the 35% that you're making because you're the one working as a contractor. So you just created an employment for you. And that happens, those decisions happen daily. And having an advisor can point you like, well, that's not really that decision you're thinking. So once you put everything in the same plane, it's better and it's easier for you to make better financial decisions.
Thank you. As a final question, and we'll kind of go down the line, this is for everyone. What advice would you give to the, here in the room who are just starting to build their wealth building journey? Or in general, just what advice would you give to the room?
Good on the line?
Yeah.
Okay. I think not overcomplicating it, and I think some of the things that were mentioned and just my biggest takeaway that I think I want you guys to hear is you've done a great job of building your business and it's a huge accomplishment. So one, just simply making sure it's protected. So whatever that looks like for you, and there's a lot of categories that can fall under. But second, and probably the one that people understand the most but implement maybe the least, is savings. I think people underestimate the savings that they have on their balance sheet. I think you guys as business owners probably, and as the industry as a whole, hold on to that liquidity as much as you can because you understand the fluctuations that can happen with your business. But the savings rate that you're adding to your balance sheet is extremely powerful. Even on the personal side, we always kind of say that your savings rate is more powerful than your rate of return. Your asset, and this goes into cash flow, right? So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to save more, I'm going to save 20% today. You have to really understand your cash flow. And I think the industry is probably reversed your cash flow order. Spending the first dollars you earn on taxes and lifestyle and debt consolidation, versus looking at protections and savings first. You might, by the time you get to savings and protection, you have nothing left, first of all. You have no more cash flow. So you're probably underprotected and you're not saving. So you're kind of in that paycheck to paycheck or month to month state with your business. So don't kind of underestimate the power of just adding more savings to that balance sheet.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I'm going to be a little more selfish and kind of, just from my experience, what I've seen that's kind of helped other business owners. One of the main ones is learning how to delegate. That took me so much time to learn. I wanted to do everything, and I see a lot of business owners trying to get their hands on every piece of the pie, doing your own taxes. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start, but I think it's important to seek professional help. I mean, we talked about, goes back to building a team like Gonzalo was talking about, and professional help in every area. I mean, I'm talking about, everything. Just make sure that you're able to get help. And also, one of the important ones, at least in my case, is look for mentors. Mentors that have been in your industry. That's helped me minimize mistakes, and it could help minimize mistakes for everyone. And this is more generally speaking. I just wanted to, of course, I have to throw in insurance, right? Make sure that you don't dismiss protection as one of the main areas, because you have one event that could destroy your business, like that. And unfortunately, I've seen it. So it's you just pay attention and make sure you're properly protected, and And those are, I mean, I think those are a couple tips that I want to leave you with today.
Thank you.
My last thought, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear, but let's be real. The MIT Age Lab just recently came out with a study that showed that over the next 10 years, this demographic is going to control and influence 75% of the major financial decisions in this country.
Which demographic? You said this.
Women
Women?
between the ages of 40 and 75. So I say, congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, I share this because there's certain trends that are undeniable. When they enter into retirement, the woman usually is taking over the finances now. When it's a situation where it's a parent or an in-law who's providing the majority of the caregiving advice, unfortunately, that's a burden that's falling on a lot of people. They didn't ask for that. When it comes to children and providing advice on things like education, homes, cars, guess who they're going to? Their moms. Yeah. So I just share that to say it's coming, be ready for it, but there's a lot of great resources out there, and the good news is, don't be afraid to ask for help, because it is going to be a tough burden that is sometimes not something that you ask for or want, but
I think that
it's
it's already
reality.
here.
It is.
I don't think it's 10 years, it's
Yeah,
here
yeah.
now.
I mean, yeah, we see examples all the time. All the time.
Great. Well, I am going to share something that I'm focusing on for the last couple of years and helped me a lot. And I would say just focus on your energy every day. Focus on what you're going to do, work, like for those you serve, and love, your family, your clients. So energy, we're used to be in the computer, all day long, and we just, becoming, just get out, do something, get stoned by bees, right? Something, right? See a rattlesnake, whatever that is, but get out, that will fulfill your energy. Start the day moving, because you're running a business, and if your energy is low, guess what? I mean, you can do it, yeah, and then again and again and again until you just feel like that's your level, but that's not your level. That's what you're used to now, being that level. So focus on your energy, commit to your work. I don't know how many times I heard clients say, oh, that client, I hate it. Dude, I mean, they pay your bill, right? So just, you need to serve them or change jobs, do something else, right? So embrace your work, and love is, be grateful of what you have. Grateful of that business that you do. If your grandma gave you that recipe of great tacos and that's how you're really successful, well, be grateful of grandma, and grateful of, and this is something I just learned, like SRP's story, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I'm grateful of those, 100 and something years ago, people saying like, hey, we need water in the valley. Well, I turn on the lights and think for the vision of that people, and I own it to them. So if I'm in life, help thinking, now I know I need to be grateful for SRP's story, right? They're maybe gone, those families, but I need to be grateful. And in order to be grateful, I need to do great just to pay it, somehow. So I know it doesn't have to do anything with finances, or I guess, but it's a good way that if we face every day, today, with that in mind, we're going to be really happy, really successful, and have abundance just coming to your door.
Perfect. Before I thank the panel, the audience is not out of the woods. So at DAS Foundation, every workshop or class, we ask participants, what did you learn? So I want to ask you all, if I can have one or two volunteers, what did you learn? What do you take with you?
I learned so much today. My husband started his own business, so this is going to be really helpful for him. But I did kind of have a follow-up, so hopefully we have time at the end once everyone goes. But I would love, how does someone get started to find the right financial advisor for that type of business? I feel like that's maybe where a small business is there's probably so many places, right? So how do they even get started with who? And someone that maybe focuses on that type of business? Like, I feel like that might be a challenge for someone starting.
You can
I
answer
want
it.
to take that question.
Yeah.
Mainly referrals. So your business, let's say your husband wants business in the restaurant, whatever. Husband should ask around the peers, right? Who do you work with? And let's start with that. Most of our business comes based on referrals. And then look for a relationship. Again, I don't have a better product than they do. You can't control that, but you control the relationship. So you see working with that person for, I'm not kidding, like 10, 15, 20 years, like until you retire. If you see working with that advisor for that long time, that's a good advisor. I mean, I know it's a fluffy kind of answer, but this business is based on relationship, not really rate of returns in investments. And that's my take on that.
And you also have the right to select whoever you want. Just don't go with the first person you talk to. I mean, just talk to multiple financial advisors, agents, anyone around, because it's who you're comfortable with too. I mean, a lot of times it's they might do a great job, but you might not have that relationship with them. So that's key as well.
I'll just short answer, but I think we all know and have that good intuition, and I think the relationship side of it does matter. If you get into a meeting and it feels very transactional, I would say that's a pretty big red flag as a business owner, because how can they already know what I need to transact on if they haven't even asked enough questions or spent enough time with me to understand? So first answer, yes, referrals. Ask if there is a trusted advisor that you have in a different industry, like a CPA or someone that you love. Most often they know a good advisor that might be a good fit for you. But I think we've talked about the void in the business owner space. So it doesn't always have to be a perfect match on the industry, but just someone that kind of understands the importance of having a good strategic advisor in the business owner space. A lot of people say that, but you'll have a better understanding if you spend time with them in meetings, if they're really focused on your goals versus what they want you to go into. So just take that.
Thank you. Well, please help me in thanking the panelists for coming here.